Hi everybody, it is Julie. Welcome back to Pages and Pens. Today I'm here with another one of my end of the year videos for 2018. I am here with my Miss Disappointing Reads of 2018 in my You're Killing Me Smalls shirt, because here's the thing. I had a couple DNFs in 2018. I also had some low rated books in 2018. I also had just some disappointing reads, like books that were nowhere near as good as I wanted them to be. I'm gonna get to the 7 books that were disappointing and then my 3 DNFs. I just want it better. I want it more. I wanted them to be better than they ended up being for me personally. I don't have any of these anymore, so I'm just gonna have to put up covers for you guys. But the first one that I want to talk about is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. One True Loves was garbage. A premise that I thought would be really intriguing. You have a woman who marries like the love of her life, and then he goes away for a business trip. His plane is like lost. There's an accident. He's lost forever. He's dead. So she meets somebody else, falls in love, gets engaged, and then her husband shows back up again. Turns out he's been lost at sea for 3 or 4 years, living on a rock, gradually like building up endurance to swim out, and until he could swim out deep enough to like find a ship and get home. And the only thing keeping him going was getting back to her. And then he gets home and she's moved on, and she has to decide, does she stay with her fiance? Does she go back to her husband? And it pissed me off. Essentially, she spends the entirety of the book going, oh, he doesn't know that I don't eat pepperoni anymore. He doesn't know that I'm lactose intolerant. Or he doesn't know that I cut my hair and he doesn't like it and I really love it. He doesn't know that now I'm a cat person. He doesn't really know me, so I can't be with him. Except he's been lost at sea for 4 years or however long. And like, none of that's his fault. Like, he just wants to come home to normalcy. He wants to come home to what he knew. So it's not wrong for him to look for the comfort of what he knew in the woman he loved and married. The man that she's engaged to is like super understanding and really, really sweet. And then she goes away with her husband for a long weekend to decide if she wants to stay with him or not, while her fiance is like, you need to go take the time to figure out what you want. I want to be with you, but I don't want to be with you out of any weird obligation. Like, you have to want to be with me. They go away on this weekend, and they're supposed to be there for like 3 or 4 days. I think she gives this husband 1 day, then makes a decision that is so shitty. And up until that point, she hadn't really cheated, because like her fiance had said, like, go figure out what you need to figure out. But then she like crosses a line. It was garbage. It was straight up garbage. So nope. I think I gave it 2 stars. I don't really know. Then we have The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslie Walton, which I thought I was going to love, knowing her writing style and her writing ability, because I love The Strange and Beautiful Stars of Ava Lavender. Love it. Price Guide to the Occult is a love letter to cutting and self-harm. Focuses so heavily on cutting and self-harm. And there's resources in the back, but no trigger warnings in the front, and like nothing that would prepare you for the fact that it's going to be from like page 1 till the end. This story about a girl relishes the release of the cutting, and it's very, very focused on blood and cutting and hiding her scars and finding little things to cut herself with. It is such a, and like there's also another central focus. Like, it's about an ancestry of Greek witches. I should love this story, and instead it's overshadowed completely by the fact that there's this theme that didn't need to run through the book. Like this, the theme of cutting and all this, it doesn't need to exist in the book for the story to be told. And the story was also just disjointed. It didn't come together at all the way that Ava Lavender did. It's another generational kind of a story. Did not work for me at all. I have an individual review for this book, and I will link that in a card up above, but it was so bad. Nowhere near what it could have been and needed to be. It felt so gratuitously, like, it felt gross. It was bad. Oh no. Okay. Then I'm going to talk about Birthday Girl by, who is that by? Is that Penelope Douglas? I don't know who it's by. It's here. This was supposed to be an angsty age gap taboo romance about a girl who moves in with her boyfriend to his father's house, and then she starts to have feelings for her boyfriend's father. She shouldn't want to be with this guy, but they can't stop. They're drawn to one another. Turns out her boyfriend, aka the son, is a complete jaghole. Like, he's just an awful human being. So in no way, shape, or form do you ever actually want her to stay with him. So the fact that, like, the father is actually, like, compassionate and caring and understanding and mature and, like, not an absolute, like, dickhole, you want her to be with him. No cheating in this, so it's not like that's taboo. It's a non-issue that she's actually ever with the father. And then the only thing is really the age gap, but there's no reason why that's really taboo. Like, it really, I don't know, like, it just read as like a regular contemporary romance. It never felt taboo. It never felt weird. It was fine, but it wasn't anything like it was pitched to me to be. I thought I was going in for something really like angsty and taboo and like, ooh, forbidden. And it was just fine. I'm so nervous about these. The next one I want to talk to you about is My Favorite One Night Stand by Christina Lauren. I got an arc of and I Want It to Love. Together, they usually write books I really, really enjoy. I loved Roomies. I love Josh and Hazel. I'm excited to still read more from them, but this one fell super, super flat. I don't like when miscommunication or like misdirection is used as the central conflict in a story, and you basically have a group of 4 friends, 3 guys, 1 girl, and they all need dates for this big gala. So they make these internet dating profiles, and then the girl accidentally catfishes one of her friends. Could have all been solved with like a very direct communication. She'd had like a one night stand with the friend, so there's already a connection there. All she had to do is say like, hey, haha, it's me. I was just joking around on there, and it's done. It's over. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And instead, it just like snowballs and creates like a plot. It just made no sense to me. I felt like it was the weakest of their books that I've read in a really long time. I think it was probably like a 2, maybe 2.5, 3, but like it was nowhere near the quality that they are capable of. I'm just trying to figure out what to talk about next, but the rest of the ones that I was disappointed in, I feel like a lot of people really love. So, yikes. Taryn Fisher. In general, as a whole, I'm sorry, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Last year in 2018, I read Fuck Love by Taryn Fisher. I also read Mudvayne by Taryn Fisher, and I hated them both. I think I 2-starred both of them. The people that say that they really love Taryn Fisher say that they really love her writing style, and I didn't enjoy her writing style. I don't enjoy her characters. I don't enjoy the way she writes characters. They're all very morally gray, but like not in a good way. They're like deeply unlikable. They just don't make sense, you know? Like I felt like Mudvayne villainized getting help for mental health. I think that Fuck Love was legitimately about a female stalker. Like, it's just weird. For Mudvayne, there's like a weird reveal that really just could have been done earlier. It didn't have to be drawn out the way that it was. Everything was made to be like this, oh, you don't know what's going on, and so you have to wait and wait and wait. Even though you've kind of already figured it out, you have to wait for the author to tell you things, which doesn't make sense to me. For Fuck Love, it was about a woman who like legitimately falls in love with somebody, but he's dating somebody else, so she moves to his hometown in with his ex-girlfriend and is like, I'm trying to get over him. I'm like, no, you're not. You moved to his hometown in with his ex-girlfriend. Like, you're a crazy... Like, that is not a normal thought process. So, it just... I don't like her characters. I don't like her stories. I don't like the way she writes. I have a lot more books from her on my Nook because I went on a binge and just bought everything that she wrote because everybody was talking highly about her and how much they loved her. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I will not read anything more from her. Number 6 is going to be Salt Kill Girls by Claire Legrand, which hurts me. And I think I still gave this like a 3 or 4 star. Like, it wasn't horrible at all. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be. I just come off of reading Fury Born, which I loved, and I went into Salt Kill Girls, and I was so let down by the plot. The characters are great, like phenomenal. You have a female-female relationship in there. You have an asexual girl in there who's in a relationship. You have really great open conversations. I believe we have an African-American character, or they're biracial. There's there's plenty of diversity. There's a lot going on. There's this character that is the island that they live on, which I thought was the most entertaining and enthralling part of the story, was the fact that the island had its own POV in the story. I thought that was really, really well done. But the monster in it made no sense to me. It was not creepy. The vibe for me did not get creepy or scary at all. I am a big baby, so that's really, really surprising for me. There was like one scene with spiders that like get fucked. I don't like it. But the rest was not creepy, wasn't scary. There was like this patriarchal society that also made no sense, and I see where it was coming from for like we have to tell a story about like empowered females and how misogynistic people can be, and I get that. Like, I understand the storyline that was being told there, but I just didn't think it made any sense, and it was so overdone that it was comical. Like, it was so overwritten as like an extreme that it just was laughable to me. I just didn't understand it at all. It didn't live up to what I thought her writing could be, based on Furyborn. I felt like a lot of the plot fell flat for me, and a lot of the ambiance of the story, except for the POV of the island, a lot of the other like creepy vibes stuff fell flat for me, but the characters were really, really good. And I do love character stories, but like the rest really, really fell flat for me. So unfortunately that one was not, it was disappointing to me. And another one that was disappointing to me, which I know is really unpopular, like really unpopular, Circe by Madeline Miller. Greek mythology, you'd think I'd like it. I didn't. It was so slow and so plotting and so uninteresting to me, and I'm down for a character-driven story. I really, really am. But I found so little redeeming about this book. I didn't care about her banishment. I didn't care about her little island. I didn't care about the dude she was turning into pigs. None of it was intriguing to me. Getting little cameos from like other figures in Greek mythology that I knew was kind of cool. And I think it's more like a writing style thing for me. I felt like the pacing of the story and the way that it was written was very Uprooted-esque. It was very slow, character driven, and I didn't care enough about the character to invest myself in a story that was that character driven and that slow. If it's gonna be paced that way, you have to care about the character, and I didn't. And so it didn't work for me. I think I probably still gave it 3 stars because I didn't want to get murdered on Goodreads, but I will not read anything else by Madeline Miller. And I'm aware that's very unpopular. Like, I get that. But for me, after all of the hype, because I read it so late, I read it and went, what did you read that I didn't read? Like, what? I don't understand what happened here. Oh, there's another one that didn't make this list because I made it too late. And that is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. Last third of that book was phenomenal. Maybe 2/3. But the first part of that book was horrendous. I've talked about this before, but I just felt like the story was like 2 different stories that were very disjointed. And you had a story about like religion and patriarchy, and another story that was like fae and old gods. And I loved the fae and old gods kind of a story where you're holding true to like the old traditions, but then religion's coming in and trying to take them from you. I understand why you had to have both sides of the story, but they felt like 2 different novels that were tried to be pushed together. I also had super huge issues with one of the male characters, specifically the main character's father, who legitimately repeatedly sexually assaults and rapes a wife that was forced to marry him when all she wanted to do was go to a convent. Gets mad that every time he visits her bed, she just cries and storms away because it annoys him. Like, what the actual hell? You get a lot of excuses, like, well, it was the time period. Oh, it's medieval, it's fine. No, I don't like it. But again, like I said, the writing and the focus of the latter half of that book, phenomenal. Really, really loved it. But in general, I was really disappointed because I thought I was either going to love it or hate it, and I fell somewhere in the middle, and I wanted to be able to either take like a polarizing view one way or the other. I'm glad I ended up enjoying the end because I think that the second book follows more towards the end of that book's path. So I'm going to continue with the series, but I was really let down because I could not believe how problematic I found some of the things in this story that I really wasn't hearing people talk about. Yeah, that one was a bummer. So I guess I have 11. Then I have a couple DNFs, which I'm just going to go over really, really quick and tell you the titles because I don't really know that much about them or care to talk too much about them. The first one was literally the first book I read for 2018, and that was Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, and I DNF'd that at like 250 pages. It's a large book, but I feel like I put my due in. All right, sorry guys, my battery needed a little bit of time to recharge, so we're back here. My other DNF that really bummed me out was Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart, and I could not get into this book. What was it, like siblings, and one was taken to like a fighting ring and the other one was taken to, I don't remember. I didn't like it from the get-go, and I read some and then I DNF'd, but essentially I read this coming off of, what was it, God's Grave, and we had like the fighting rings in God's Grave, and then this one, take women and you pit them against one another, and they were basically like female fighting rings. And I was so burnt out about it from God's Grave because I did not like that plot at all in God's Grave. I just have no interest in that kind of a storyline. And then I went from that, which I finished reading because I had like a reading vlog for it, right to Grace and Fury, like pretty close together, and I was like, nope, not doing it. Not doing more female fighting rings. I feel like I've seen this plot coming. There was like a good brother, bad brother love interest that felt very Red Queenie, and I couldn't get into it. It felt like everything else that I've read. I didn't like the writing. I didn't like the pacing. I couldn't finish it. So I DNF'd it, and I actually sent that copy. It was like the OwlCrate exclusive cover that was signed and everything. I sent it on to a friend. I was like, I can't do it. I have one more DNF, which it hurts me to talk about because like I said, I enjoyed the author, but, and I feel bad that the same author is showing up on here twice, which I just realized. But it's actually Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I was lucky enough to get an e-arc of this. I was buddy reading it with Mel from Mel to the Any, who now has a YouTube channel if you've not checked her out, which I know you have. I will link her down below, but you should be checking her out. I think I got to 22%. I think she maybe got to 25% in this book, and then we both stopped reading it. I don't like talking about books that haven't released yet in terms of like DNFing it, because I don't want to influence you in sales and whether or not you're interested in this book. But for me, I couldn't get into it. It was told in like an interview format about a band that's very like Fleetwood Mac-esque. It's about Daisy Jones and the 6 members of her band. I got to 22%, and Daisy Jones had not even joined the 6. It was really disjointed. It was essentially just about alcoholism and cheating and drug use. And it was told again in this interview format where like you would get a paragraph, maybe a couple from each of these band members, and then the people that they were involved with, and then I think you only got a couple from Daisy in that entire section. I didn't care about any of them. I couldn't keep any of them straight because you didn't really get to know them. You had these little tiny snippets. It didn't feel like enough information. It felt like word vomit just on a page and information being thrown at you, but I had no investment in the characters, no interest in them, and really no interest in continuing with the story. I could not see how it could potentially turn itself around, and I could not wade through it anymore. So I ended up DNFing that one. So those were my 3 DNFs for the year. I had more. I had about 8 DNFs for the year in total, but those were the most disappointing ones because those particular books I had higher expectations for. Outlander I knew was going to be controversial in the way that women were treated, but I thought I could get over it, and I couldn't. And then Grace and Fury I actually had high expectations for, and Daisy Jones and the 6 I had high expectations for. So those were the most disappointing. These are not, like I said, the most awful books I read. They're not the most horrible books I read. They're just the ones that for me personally were most disappointing because I was expecting more and hoping for more from all of them. So that was it. That was my most disappointing, not worst, but like most disappointing of 2018 reads. And we're going to move on to some more interesting content. For me personally, I'm going to go and film my stats video for the year, and I really enjoy those, so hopefully you will too. So stay tuned later this week for that video. And that's it for this one. If you liked it, be sure to give me a big thumbs up. Now would be a great time to subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that little notification bell, and I will see all of you in the next video. Bye guys.